I get Jay to come here and pick, and how I get Dave.
Jesus, don't scare me like that. I'm like, you asshole.
How I get Dave to come here and pick it up. I said, I can't give you that advice. He said, why not? I said, because he's not going to pick it up. He's not going to pick it up. There's no way he's going to pick it up, because if he picks it up and he cashes it, then you own him. And he's not going to allow that to happen. He's in a position now where he doesn't need that money.
Bullshit.
And he feels...
Is he really in a position? How much money did he make in the first place where he can turn his nose up at $25 million? That's where the story goes off the rails for me. And it's this urban lore, like this crazy story. And people like, and brothers will go like, man, good for Dave, man. You can't be working for the man. Hey, man, what the fuck are we out here for if we ain't working for the man to get a check for $25 million? There's no way Dave made that much money in the first run of the Chappelle Show, because your first contract is always the shittiest.
No, he didn't.
So he didn't have, so why did he turn down $25 million? Because he really just didn't want to be on under Comedy Central's thumb?
Yeah, he didn't want, comedy and life is all about control. And if you have control over the one you love, control over the job you have, control over the people you work with, control over how things are distributed, control over your health, you're the happiest you are. And when you start losing pieces of that control, you become unhappy. And you
$25 million, I don't give a shit about control. You can make love to my family in front of me. You can tell me what to say. I will tap dance like Mr. Bojangles for that guy. I have no idea what that looks like. You know what Dave Chappelle was? My wife said it best. She goes, it just sounds like he was a sore winner.
That's a great expression, a sore winner. I don't know. I think you'd have to talk to him about it, but I think also, you also go through when you're suffering from depression and all the things that, I think when you smoke a lot socially, a lot of weed socially, I think
Benja weed.
I think can mess with you, and I think that might have taken its toll.
So you're saying Kevin Smith should dial it back a little bit?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, we're big proponents of grass here on the Smod Cast Network, Katz, just so you know.
I'm sorry to hear
And you know me, I don't smoke a lot of pot, but I smoke a little pot every day. Now, you can't smoke. A baby really does cut into your pot smoking time. You can't smoke grass with a baby because all you do is you run in and stare at him in the crib to make sure his chest is going up and down. That's all you do. It's horrible. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm high. What if something happens? It's like the only equivalent is when you're in bumper to bumper traffic driving to Vegas and you're way too high to be in bumper to bumper traffic. And like, this is the worst place in the world. So,
but I just want to, because I know that time is short, but I just want to share a few things that I'll never share with you. I believe that Dave Chappelle, despite all we've been saying about him, was a genius and is a genius.
Is he happy now? Do you think? I hope he is.
I don't know if he's happy.
Let's pray for Dave.
Well, I if he wants
to. Not now.
But I think that
a bummer.
I think that
pray for people whose minds are ill that turned down $25 million.
Well, one of the things I always thought.
Hi, baby girl.
Yeah. All right.
Here comes my girl.
All right, Nikki.
We're talking about Dave Chappelle, my beautiful wife, the lovely Nikki Cox, the mother of my child.
That would be me.
Yeah. Oh, we got third mic here today. You want to sit right here?
Good Lord. No, I can sit on the floor. I'll cop a... No, sit, please. You're a guest.
I kept it warm for you.
We're talking about...
Nice. Sit, please.
We're talking about a couple Saturday Night Live stories, talking about Chappelle. We covered a lot of ground with Last Comic Standing. We talked about Barry having his shows in Boston. Oh, this is good that you're here because somebody's name came up.
Who?
Finally, who's? Barry used to run Play It Again Sam's, as you know, and he had Dennis Leary, he had Stephen Wright, he had Lenny Clark, he had Anthony Clark, he had Bobcat Goldthwait. You were engaged to Bobcat. Now, once and for all, only because I'm not going to legitimize anything. I'm never going to get into a battle with anybody. What you say about me is none of my business. However, there's been some revisionist history in regards to my wife's relationship with Robert Francis Goldthwait, because Bob keeps going on stage and going on the radio and going on other podcasts saying
lousy stuff
that you dumped him for me and that you cheated on him with me. And he's also said, not that I've done research and obsessed over this at all, and he's also said that he didn't know that you guys were no longer engaged until he called your hotel room in Las Vegas and I answered the phone. Now,
that's I can only start by saying I don't even own a computer, so I'm not fully aware of what all's been said. I just know that, like, you know, my dad hears stuff and my folks hear stuff, our friends and our family, and they feel bummed and protective and whatever. And I'll stick by my guns, which are that I
You've got great guns.
Thanks, man. And you want to see him? And he
doesn't.
I will go on record as saying the years that I spent with him, he was one of the kindest, smartest, gentlest souls I knew. I loved him dearly, and I thought he loved me dearly. And we were together for a lot of years, and then one day, I guess I just got really boring. And I can't say I blame him. You know, I have low self-esteem. I'd leave me too.
But did you dump him? And
No. I didn't. I'm really I'm the pathetic one in the story.
In fact, it's the exact, let's just set the record straight. And then because he's launched the Scuds and he's like, me and Nick are like in his act. She dumped me for Jay Mohr. They're cheating on me and all this stuff. But I think now that a lot of people are listening to the podcast, they know we don't bullshit them. And Kevin Smith wouldn't have us on the label if we were going to tell like bullshit stories. The fact of the matter,
no one.
I've known Bob longer than any of you.
Yeah, it's true.
Barry, I met you when I was a teenager because yeah.
The fact of the matter is, my love, is what?
He loved me until one day he didn't, and he took the newspaper and said, I'm going to find an apartment. And I sort of, you know, fell to the floor like a pathetic gal would when you're dumped. And I cried for a couple hours, and I called my father, which is just mortifying, crying. You're like, Daddy, come get me. I was a grown woman. My father drives to my house, packs a duffel bag, and then I moved back in with my parents. I was living with Bob at the time. I was 18 till 26, and then I had to move back in with my poor folks.
Let me jump in real quick, because the people listening, Bob dumped you. And we got to land on that for a second, because when you guys were together, America was pissed off. Well, people went, how the hell did this bombshell hot redhead, why is she with this guy?
Because he's smart and kind and funny in the time that I knew him, and I loved him and he me. The end. And
I've always dug his act. Barry knows
he's super talented.
He's always a sweet guy.
Good
he's
dad.
A great director, world's greatest dad. Nothing but and it might enrage him, but there's still nothing but positive things coming from this end. I watch World's Greatest Dad, and I'm like, that was an incredibly directed movie. So Bob dumps you.
Yeah. And I moved back home. I was like a zombie, but not like a cool one, like a brain eating one.
You were a brain-eating zombie?
No, and nor was I one of like the new fast zombies that are, you know, like they can really get you. I was just like one of those pathetic, like George Romero, like black and white zombies, you know, that like can just like kind of like
wow.
break like a balsa wood wall down. Like I was just pathetic. So I literally slept in my mother's bed, like I was the girl that
he broke your heart.
Yeah, but it ended up being absolutely right. I mean, he's older than myself, and obviously at the time I thought I was devastated, but he's obviously wiser because he ended up marrying the love of his life, and I ended up meeting you.
You should send him a fruit basket.
Well, I ended up meeting I did send several gifts throughout the years. No fruit.
No fruit.
No. But you know,
we were in Salt Lake City. Because we traveled together, because we can't be apart, her and I. It's like having your heart amputated. And if you think that sounds corny, this isn't the podcast for you.
We're sickening.
So we were in Salt Lake City doing is it Wise Guys? Yes, in Salt Lake City. Keith Stubbs, great crew up there. Love me, my Mormons. We find out that Bob is going to be at the Sheraton Hilton, whatever the comic hotel is. He's there the weekend after me. And once and for all, Nick has been mulling this around. Every time he had a birthday, she'd send him a birthday card. Every time it was Christmas time, Nick would send him a Christmas card. When his family's birthdays, people that have passed, she'd go like, I haven't forgotten, it's great. Bob's daughter, Tasha, lived in my house with me and Nick. Bob dumps Nick, and his daughter decides to go with her and the new guy instead of living with Bob.
Yeah, she finished her senior year at our house with us, and then,
about a month and a half into me knowing Tosh, she's introducing me as her stepfather.
No, yeah, well, she had a room at our house.
She lived
at our house together.
She lived with us and not with Bob. So, just whatever you want to take from that, take from it.
Again, I another person where I can't lie and say
We're going long today,
I didn't love her.
Worth it.
I didn't love her deeply and dearly. I am not gonna revise history and say
I loved her unconditionally.
Screw them.
I loved her unconditionally.
I loved them, and then he just, what? I guess I just got incredibly boring.
And you raised her. You didn't raise her.
I didn't raise her, but
she was 8 years old is when you met her.
Yes. Well, no. I met her a bit younger, but yeah, I started, being a stepmother type to her as a teenager. I spent my teenage years, doing laundry and whatnot with
her and your brother. Finally, the paths cross because she sends Christmas ornaments to him, dates that are important that, we don't,
essentially
private
things that you do to people that are your
love.
friend.
And her mother put it best.
Just because you break up with somebody does not negate the years you spent together. Maybe you don't love each other any longer, but that chunk of time, you did love one another.
You loved this person for like 8 years.
So there's no reason to say, fuck him. Because that would be baloney.
Right. And that's not how we roll.
No.
So we never got a response back like, happy birthday, Nick. How are your parents? I understand somebody in your family's sick. We'll keep all the names out of it, except Tosh, only because she's been vocal about stuff also.
Yep.
So finally, Bob is at Wise Guys exactly like 3 days after we leave. He's coming in and checking into the hotel. And I say to Nick, you got to write him a letter saying, I understand you don't want to be in touch with me anymore.
Yeah. And then my mom calls me because you called her and you two are ganging up on me saying, just write him a note.
You have to write this letter. You have to have some type of closure saying, here's the deal. You obviously don't want to be in my life. You don't acknowledge me anymore. You're married to the love of your life.
I'm married to the love of mine. You know what? You were right because you're happier than ever. I'm happier than ever. You were right, and I hope that everything is just swell for you.
At the end of the letter, she writes, and I delivered the letter, by the way. She writes, "I love you, Nick." Now I'm the husband. I'm not a jealous guy, but
my husband and my mother were editing my note
because we wanted to make sure
it couldn't
be misinterpreted. You know what I mean? I take that letter to the front desk and I go, please make sure when Mr. Goldthwait checks in, please make sure he receives this. Now the letter is at the front desk. We drive home from Salt Lake City back to Santa Monica. He flies in or however he gets there, whatever. And we know that someone, a third party, is going to go, this was left for you. And he can't ignore it because he doesn't know what it is. He can ignore a card with her handwriting on it. But I'm the one that wrote Bob on the envelope.
Yeah.
Because there's no ill feelings because you think well of him and I, whatever.
Fast forward like 6 months, he's on a radio show, a nationally syndicated radio show, and they go, you were engaged to Nikki Cox. What happened? And he goes, well, it didn't work out. We broke up because I wanted a small wedding and she wanted to fuck a whole bunch of other guys. No, you dumped her. Like you can't. And Nick put it best. She goes, I thought the person that gets dumped owns the rights to talk shit. Not the other way around.
Right.
And they go, oh, really? And he says, and you can look it up. And if you guys, it's the Bob and Tom radio show and you can Google his name and find it. He goes, yeah. And she's following me around the country and she just wrote me a perfumed love letter. Now these guys, it's morning radio. They do it every day. They got dick to do. They can't possibly play another Nickelback record. So when a comic comes in and says Nikki Cox is writing perfume love letters, they're like, whoa, wait.
Big
and he goes, yeah, she just followed me around. And the next half hour is all about like how she like fucking stepped on his balls and broke his heart.
And how I want him back.
Yeah, she wants. She keeps asking me back.
Well,
and Nick said if it smelled like anything, it smelled like Marlboros.
Goldfish crackers of my stepsons. It was a very silly and strange thing. And also I felt badly for his new wife,